United States has resumed direct military operations against Iran after what had been a brief 5-day pause in fighting. According to U.S. Central Command, or CENTCOM, American forces launched a coordinated military operation beginning at around 8 p.m. Eastern Time on July 29th. The operation lasted nearly 2 hours before CENTCOM announced that all planned strikes had been completed. The U.S. military says dozens of targets linked to Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps were successfully destroyed. Among them were IRGC command centers, ballistic missile launch facilities, drone launch and storage sites, military logistics hubs, and infrastructure used to support Iranian military operations across the region. The Pentagon described the strikes as a direct response to Iran's earlier missile attack against American forces. Soon after the operation began, residents across southern Iran reported hearing powerful explosions. Iranian media said blasts were heard in several strategic locations, including the major naval city of Bandar Abbas, Qeshm Island, Khuzestan province, and parts of Bushehr province. These areas host important military bases, naval facilities, energy infrastructure, and IRGC installations. Videos circulating on social media showed bright flashes lighting up the night sky as anti-aircraft systems attempted to intercept incoming missiles. Iranian media also claimed missiles were being launched from American positions in Kuwait, while other reports suggested HIMARS rocket systems based at U.S. military facilities were involved in the operation. However, Washington has not officially confirmed the platforms used during the strikes. One of the most closely watched developments came from Qeshm Island. Iranian media claimed that one American missile struck a residential neighborhood. According to those reports, several houses were damaged and emergency rescue teams rushed to the scene to search for survivors trapped beneath debris. Footage broadcast by Iranian outlets showed emergency vehicles and rescue workers operating in the affected area. At this stage, there has been no official confirmation regarding casualties or the extent of the damage. The United States has also not commented on the claims and continues to maintain that its operation targeted only military infrastructure. As in previous rounds of fighting, information coming from both sides remains difficult to independently verify. According to CENTCOM, the latest American operation was retaliation for Iran's ballistic missile attack just hours earlier. The U.S. military says Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps launched multiple ballistic missiles toward American forces stationed in the Middle East. U.S. officials later indicated that the intended target was an American military base in Jordan. CENTCOM says every incoming missile was intercepted successfully. No American personnel were injured, and no military equipment was damaged. The failed Iranian attack immediately triggered discussions inside the White House over a military response. President Donald Trump had already warned Tehran that any attack on American forces would bring severe consequences. President Donald Trump has taken an increasingly aggressive public position throughout the latest crisis. According to Trump, Iranian officials privately conveyed that their earlier missile attack had been a mistake and asked Washington not to retaliate. Trump says he rejected that request. Instead, the president declared, "It's our turn now." Hours later, American missiles were striking targets across southern Iran.
It's a little more of the same, but it's going to be straightening out. It's going to be straightening out. In the meantime, we're going to be hitting them very hard because it's our turn to hit them. They know it's coming. They're asking us not to do it, but they tried shooting it last night. So we had 5 rockets shot going 8,500 miles an hour, and all 5 rockets were knocked down to the ground. But they nevertheless took a shot, so it's our turn. and we'll see if we get there with an agreement at some point, but we're going to hit them very hard. Very hard. I mean, I can actually say that because there's very little they can do about it. It was a different group than we're dealing with. They've already apologized, but, you know, we got to smack them a little bit.
Mr. President, always going to hit back when they strike?
Will I always hit back?
Yes.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Mr. President, just on a point of clarity on that, sir, is that in response to the attempted ballistic missile strike on Jordan last night? When you say it's our turn to hit back?
Yeah, I think more so that, yeah, because it was another smaller event. But no, they sent 8,000-mile-an-hour missiles at us, and fortunately we had our people operating the greatest equipment in the world, namely the Patriot system. Think of it, 5 missiles going 8,600 miles an hour, big ones, coming right at us, and all 5 were shot down. How about that, right? Pretty good. Nobody else could do that but us, yeah.
Trump also revealed that he had paused earlier military operations after requests from regional mediators who were attempting to create space for renewed diplomacy. But after the latest Iranian missile attack, Washington appears to have concluded that military action was once again necessary. Though, the renewed American strikes have also revived questions about U.S. missile inventories. Earlier reports suggested the United States was consuming interceptor missiles and precision-guided weapons at a pace that could place pressure on military stockpiles after months of operations across the Middle East. Some analysts argued this was one reason behind the earlier operational pause. However, both President Trump and Pentagon officials have firmly rejected those claims. They insist the United States maintains sufficient missile inventories and retains the capability to conduct sustained military operations if required. According to U.S. officials, the temporary pause was linked to diplomatic efforts rather than any shortage of weapons. The latest American strikes mark one of the biggest escalations in the U.S.-Iran conflict since direct military exchanges began. With Iran vowing retaliation, the United States warning of even stronger action, and both sides refusing to back down. The chances of another ceasefire now appear increasingly uncertain. What began as a series of isolated attacks has rapidly evolved into direct military confrontation between Washington and Tehran, and unless diplomacy finds a way back to the table, the Middle East could be heading towards an even wider and far more dangerous conflict.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to Mirror Now.